I was living in a small seaside town. My life was so routine and quiet that every day felt almost the same. Wake up, do your work, go home, eat, sleep. Friends were scarce, and the days blended into one another. That was until my cousin Clara, 22, handed me the phone one evening. "Hey, I've got an idea," she said excitedly on the other end of the line. "How about coming with me to Japan? Just 2 weeks of adventure. We could explore temples, the hidden alleys of Kyoto, and traditional houses." At first, I hesitated. Leaving my small town to go thousands of kilometers away, stepping into a completely different culture scared me. But Clara wasn't pushy. She only sent me photos and information. Houses, temples, ancient streets. For days, I thought about it, calculated my budget, weighed the idea of leaving my comfort zone. But my curiosity about Japanese culture began to stir inside me. At last, I made my decision. All right, let's go. When we arrived in Kyoto, we headed to a small, old house Clara had found, a little outside the city center. A narrow path led us away from the noise of the main streets. The air was filled with the faint smell of pine and damp earth. An old man appeared at the door. His eyes were sharp and deep, studying us carefully. "Are you staying here?" he asked in a low, firm voice. "Yes," Clara replied. "It looks wonderful." He let us in. The floors were covered with tatami mats. Sliding doors separated the rooms. Wooden carvings, tiny statues, and landscape paintings decorated every corner. Time itself seemed frozen inside this house. Then he pointed to one room. "You must never enter this room," he warned. "If you do, the responsibility is yours." A chill ran down my spine. Clara just smiled and said, "It's probably just the wind or animals. Nothing to worry about." Later that afternoon, we wandered into a small shop. Dim lights, narrow aisles, the smell of warm food filled the air. A middle-aged woman at the counter watched us intently. "You are staying in that house?" she whispered. I nodded nervously. She silently shook her head and added, "Don't open doors you shouldn't." Clara chuckled lightly. "We'll be careful," she said, but I could tell even she was uneasy. That night, after dinner, I tried to sleep, but it was impossible. The creaking of the wooden floors, the faint rustle of sliding doors, every sound seemed to draw my attention back to the forbidden room. I tossed and turned for hours, my eyes fixed on that door. Finally, exhaustion pulled me into a light sleep. Suddenly, I woke up in the middle of the night. A metallic chime echoed through the house. It couldn't have been the wind. The windows were shut. I grabbed my flashlight and crept toward the door where the sound had come from. A faint glow seeped from inside. A woman's voice, soft like a lullaby, drifted out. Every instinct told me to run, but my legs refused to move. I reached out my hand toward the door, and then I felt a touch on my shoulder. Clara was beside me, her hand on my shoulder. "Wait, let's look together," she whispered. Her courage dulled my fear, if only a little. Without fully opening it, I peered through the side of the door. The room glowed dimly. Japanese symbols and talismans painted across the walls, pulsing faintly. The air trembled slightly, as if the room itself were alive. The room seemed empty, until I noticed the shadows moving. Then, on a small old tray, we found a letter. It was written in Japanese, but Clara could read some of the characters. The letter warned, "Stay away from this room. The secret inside brings a curse upon those who touch it." Fear and curiosity tangled within us. That night, our sleep was haunted by dreams, symbols glowing, lullabies echoing through the silence. When morning came, we woke unsettled and restless. Clara said, "Maybe we should uncover the secret of this house." I didn't want to admit it, but part of me agreed. The next day, we explored nearby temples, and eventually dared to ask the old man about the room. He explained, "That room belonged to an ancient healer. Rituals were performed there long ago. Anyone who enters will witness the secrets of the past. But every secret demands a price." My heart raced. Now it wasn't just curiosity, it was real danger. One night, Clara and I approached the room again. Fear, excitement, and anticipation tangled inside us. We raised our flashlights and slid the door open slowly. Inside, the symbols glowed brighter. A faint melody played, and at the center of the room stood an old chest. The choice was ours. Would we open it or leave the house's secret buried? We stepped closer, and the story was only beginning.